Michael came home close to 9. The road had dragged longer than usual. Wet snow, rain, a bottleneck at the interchange. The taxi driver kept glancing in the mirror, as if afraid the passenger might start talking any second. Michael did not. He stared out the window in silence. The key turned in the lock with a small click. Odd. He stepped in as quietly as always, took off his coat, set his bag by the wall. The hallway smelled of a new air freshener, something citrusy and sharp. They had never used that before. "You're back," Alyssa called from the kitchen, voice flat. No surprise, no warmth, no irritation. Just a statement. "Yeah, rough drive," he answered, evenly, neither complaint nor reproach. She came out, drying her hands on a towel. Tight figure, hair up, bare lips, homey but too put together. Michael looked at her the way he studied people in an airport lounge, trying to figure out who they were and what they'd brought with them. "Want me to heat dinner?" she asked. "Number I ate on the way," he lied. He wanted to see what she'd say. "How was it?" There was something like interest now, not care, more like checking a box. "Same as always. Meetings, documents. Tired." He held her gaze. She broke it first and looked away. "I'll tell the kids you're home," she said, and left. He stayed in the entry, slowly untied his laces. The shoe cabinet sat at a different angle. Small thing, but he remembered. Before it hadn't. Same with the vase on the console. Same with the picture in the hall. Footsteps on the stairs. First light, Sophia, then heavier and cautious, Anthony. The kids. Michael straightened, put on the familiar mask. "Dad!" Sophia ran down, hugged him for a second, and stepped back. "Hey, kiddo," he said, smoothing her hair. "How long are you staying?" Anthony asked from the stairs, not coming all the way down. "Hopefully a while." Michael watched his son's face. Steady, adult, as if the boy was waiting for, or already knew something. Later, after they were in bed, he walked the house carefully, unhurried, the way people do when they come back not to a home, but to a set built to look like one. The kitchen was clean, too clean. Empty sink, dishes arranged by size, not a crumb on the table. The fridge held neat containers of prepped food, identical lids. No labels. In the bedroom, their bed was made like a hotel, pillows aligned, the duvet stretched tight. He took off his jacket and moved through the closet. On the top shelf, new ties he had not bought. On the right, a cosmetics bag he had never seen. In the bottom drawer, an unopened box of men's cologne. He lifted the bottle and smelled it. Not his, not close. He sat on the edge of the bed and listened. The house was quiet. Too quiet. Alyssa did not come in to say goodnight, did not check whether he needed anything, habits she used to have. He lay back without covering up and stared at the ceiling, thinking. Not jealousy, just facts. Not feelings, details. Start with the obvious, the cologne. Then he remembered the bathroom. His shaving gel was gone. Moved, tossed, or replaced. Any of the three. He closed his eyes. Sleep did not come. He listened to the house, the board that creaked, the rhythm of linens being changed, the soft snore of children, the door that used to stay ajar. Tonight everything was off. Even the quiet had a foreign aftertaste, like a dish with the wrong spice. At 3 he got up without turning on the lights, went to the kitchen for water. A notebook lay open on the table. He glanced, Thursday. Fitness. Friday. Salon. There had been neither for 6 months. He knew that, so it was a lie, or a code. He returned to the bedroom and sat by the window, looking into the dark yard beyond the high fence. He knew that sooner or later something would surface. Light in a wrong window. Footsteps. A stray smell. At dawn, Alyssa came in as if the long night had not happened. "I started a load of laundry," she said. "If there's anything in your suitcase, toss it in the basket." He nodded, watching but not asking. She didn't look back and left, like a stranger who lives under your roof without explaining, without apology. Not afraid, or too sure to be afraid. The kids' voices rose, Sophia's laugh, too bright and loud, as if on purpose. Anthony quieter, but insistent. They were discussing what flower to draw in their sketchbooks. Odd topic for a Sunday morning. He lay with eyes closed, a holdover from the years when decisions had to be made before you sat up. Now it was just to think through how reality had shifted. The house was different. Alyssa was different. Even the kids did not act the way they used to. The kids' voices rose, Sophia's laugh, too bright and loud, as if on purpose. Anthony quieter, but insistent. They were discussing what flower to draw in their sketchbooks. Odd topic for a Sunday morning. He lay with eyes closed, a holdover from the years when decisions had to be made before you sat up. Now it was just to think through how reality had shifted. The house was different. Alyssa was different. Even the kids did not act the way they used to. He went to the bathroom. His towel was gone, only a women's towel on the hook. In the cup, someone else's disposable razor. His old one with the wooden handle had vanished. Not a mistake, a replacement. He washed his face without touching anything that wasn't his. Alyssa was already setting the table, everything measured out. Plates, napkins, toast. "Eggs?" she asked when she saw him. "Number coffee." "New beans in the machine. Somebody brought them in." "Who brought them?" "A client. I told you. He just opened a roastery. Gives it out to everyone." He said nothing. The coffee was bitter, not mellow like she'd promised. Either she hadn't noticed, or she had lied. Both were familiar possibilities. Anthony came in, paused by the doorframe, looked at his father, and sat down silently. Sophia followed with a drawing. "Dad, look." "Beautiful," Michael said. The daisy was asymmetrical, with an extra petal. He thought, the extra thing is always the most visible. Alyssa sat across from him and chewed toast, unbothered by his presence. "What's the plan today?" she asked. "Nothing. I'm home." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I'm not going anywhere. I want time with the kids." "You said you had another meeting." "I canceled." He watched her face. Same mask, no surprise, no irritation, only calculation, as if she had to understand what it meant for her. "Then I would have canceled the facial," she said after a few seconds. "No need. Go. I'll stay with them." The kids looked up. Sophia smiled. Anthony kept eating. He knew something, or he felt it. Michael noted, lately the boy was quiet too often. After breakfast, Michael cleaned the kitchen slowly and lifted the trash lid. On top, an empty condom box. New. He froze. The drugstore by their house did not carry that brand. So not an accident. Someone had brought it. The only question was when. He closed the lid and did not touch anything. Not yet. In the hall, Alyssa was hunting for keys. Her tote gaped open. Her phone lay on the floor. She muttered under her breath, annoyed. "Lost something?" he asked. "No, I just—" She cut herself off. "Here it is. Everything's fine." She buttoned her coat. "You need a ride?" he said. "Number faster on my own." He watched her pull on gloves, thin black leather, soft, not her style. A gift. She had never worn anything like that. He filed it away. The coat, too. New. "Don't be late," he said. "You don't be late," she shot back. She tried to smile, but the corners of her mouth twitched wrong. When she left, he closed the door softly, and went back to the kids. They were piecing together a puzzle. He crouched beside them. "Your mom's job. What does she do exactly?" he asked without looking up. "Marketing, I think," Sophia said. "With Eric." "Their office is downtown," Anthony added. "You've been there?" "Number." But that's what she says on the phone. Michael said nothing. He took his phone, opened the browser, and typed the company name. The site listed no staff, just a general number and a man's headshot. He checked the address, an office tower with hundreds of tenants. The company could be a shell, or a cover, or both. He went to the bedroom and pulled out Alyssa's old card holder. Several business cards, none new, all at least 2 years old. He moved to her laptop, now password protected. He didn't try to crack it. He just noted it. There hadn't been a password before. He called Max Reed, an old contact who had handled an intellectual property mess for him once. "Hey, Michael. I need to check something." "Serious?" "Yes, off the books. One person. Name, number, movements. For now, just a name and a photo. More later." "When?" "As soon as you can." They exchanged details. Michael sent the headshot of Eric from the website. No date, no context. The day crawled. He tried to read, answered a couple of emails, watched the kids, half-focused. He was waiting, not for a moment, for a signal, something that gave him the right to act. Alyssa came back at 6, made up, wearing that heavy perfume again. Vanilla and tobacco, neither feminine nor new. He marked it. She walked into the bedroom and changed as if nothing had happened. "How are the kids?" "Fine." "Dinner?" "We already ate." She froze for a second. He watched everything in that pause. Fear, irritation, the math of what he might know. "I'll take a shower," she said. "I'm exhausted." He nodded, sat in a chair, opened a book, read 3 minutes, put it down open-faced. The pause was staged. The house was filling with tension like a vessel, quietly, but pressure was building. He knew the underneath would rupture soon. Max called back 3 days later, voice flat and clipped the way it got when he found things you did not want to find. "That guy, Eric Grant, popped up a couple years ago in some industry briefs," Max said. "Private clinic. Licensing issues." "What kind?" "Messy. Improper storage of data. Unauthorized access to medical records. Rumors about DNA test manipulation. All buried. But the stink remained. Officially unemployed now. But here's the tell. For the past 6 months, he's been logging in and out of a gated apartment complex. A woman visits frequently. No name in the system. I'll send stills." Michael sat at his desk. Window shut, curtains open. Fine snow outside. He listened without surprise, without anger. He was assembling. Photos arrived minutes later. A woman in a hooded coat, profile unmistakable. Alyssa. Eric at her side. They entered together. No hands held. Too synchronized anyway. He set the phone down, fingers laced, eyes on the floor. Everything that had seemed separate. The scent, the towel, the salon trips, the deliberate pauses, aligned into a straight line. He did not marvel. He recorded. That evening, he brought groceries, a habit that used to be a way to be useful. Now it bought him a quiet look around. While Alyssa busied herself in the kitchen, he stepped into their room, formally shared, effectively hers. He was not hunting for evidence. He wanted the rhythm, how she set things down, folded clothes, lined shoes. All of it said a second person was here, regularly. Not just domestic traces, behavioral. In the closet, a man's white dress shirt, pricey, not his size. On the shelf, a new razor, cartridge pack, unopened, as if bought to be seen rather than used. He closed the door and checked the bathroom cabinet. Painkillers, sedatives, women's vitamins. No condoms there, but in the bottom drawer, tucked behind towels. New lubricant. He didn't touch. He counted. He confirmed. The next day, he stopped by Victor Hale's office. College friend, now a family law attorney who handled estates, divorces, splits. Precise, few words. Division of property without fireworks is 4 to 6 months, Victor said, flipping through sample filings. With kids, longer, especially if mom pushes for primary custody. If I have proof of a sexual relationship, photos, video, messages, right now you've got circumstantial. Direct is better. It moves the needle. Michael knew proof wasn't for punishment. It was to strip away illusions. Alyssa had to learn he wasn't the man she thought she could manage. Start collecting, he said, quietly. Pre-litigation for now. Understood. I'll bring in our investigator. Discreet. They mapped the first steps. Watch the apartment Eric used. Analyze Alyssa's card statements. Michael handed over copies of recent receipts and bank logs. He left later than planned. The kids were asleep. Alyssa was in the living room under a throw with a glass of wine. "Where were you?" she asked, without looking up. "With a friend? We barely see each other at night, and you think it's normal to disappear?" She wasn't reproaching, just shaping the wording. She had started playing balance. "Do you think it's normal to put a stranger's razor in our bathroom?" he said. Pause. The page in her book didn't turn. Her eyes didn't move. Michael knew she was choosing a strategy. Attack, defense, evasion. "What do you mean?" she said. "Nothing yet. A question." "Maybe you're imagining things. Paranoia." Her voice was soft, cautious, with a thin wire of steel under it. "Maybe. We'll see." He walked past her and went to the bedroom. She stayed in her chair. He heard the soft clink of her glass on the table and her footsteps. She did not follow him, did not argue, which meant only one thing. She had already picked a side. He did not sleep. He stared at the ceiling and thought about how easily control leaks away, how slowly a stranger can move into your house without a scene, without an explosion. Through smells, towels, schedules. He refused feeling. He planned action. He had kids, resources, a mind, and time. That was enough to reclaim space and dismantle another person's game, step by step, cold, precise, without the right to be wrong. He woke at 6 without the alarm. Streetlights seeped around the curtains. The house was quiet. Too quiet. He lay still, then checked the kids' room. Door ajar. Sophia was curled up, asleep. Anthony lay on his back, eyes closed, breathing a little too even. Not asleep. Michael shut the door and went to make coffee. It took forever to brew. He watched the fence, the gray snow, the empty morning. Alyssa came in later in a robe, wet hair, smelling like peach shampoo. She used a different kind before. She rinsed a mug at the sink without looking at him. "You home today?" she asked. "Yes." "All day?" "All day." She said nothing, poured water, took a sip, set the mug down, and went back to the bedroom. Michael noted, every day she was either less careful or more confident. Not a mask anymore, a role where she owned the room. Around 9, he called Max. "Any movement?" "Grant's been to that unit twice in 3 days," Max said. "Once with an unknown woman. Once alone." "Car?" Parked inside the secure garage. Cameras caught Alyssa leaving bareheaded, clear face. Sending a still, the photo hit a minute later. Alyssa at the entrance, on her phone, not dressed for a workout or an office. Coat, heels, earrings, posture confident, a small smile. Michael slid the image away. No anger, just the certainty of it. This was happening, not a guess, a fact. Verified. He picked the kids up from school himself. Sophia ran out first, scarf crooked. "Dad, you're picking us up again? Is that bad?" "Number just weird. Usually Mom." "Today, me," he said, smiling, not for her, for the feeling that the floor was solid. Anthony came slow, backpack heavy, nodding without a word. Michael drove in silence, listening to their breathing. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah," Sophia said. "How's Mom?" he asked, quieter. A pause. Anthony answered first. "She goes out a lot." "Where?" "Says work. But sometimes she comes back dressed different than she left." "You noticed?" "Yeah. And she doesn't really talk then. Just goes to her room." Michael nodded. He didn't know which was worse, that his son saw everything, or that he'd gotten used to it. Late that night, Alyssa opened the door with her key, as if nothing had changed. Michael sat reading a report. "You're home," she said. "And you weren't." "We had an on-site." "Where?" "At a client's. I told you." He looked up. She stood by the door with her coat on. "Take off your boots. There's dirt on the floor." "You checking up on me?" "I'm watching the house." Her jaw tightened. She took off her shoes and set them by the wall, walked to the kitchen, stopped, then called out, "Did you eat?" "Yes, with the kids." "What about with me?" "You haven't eaten with me for a long time." She came back without a plate, without food, just her phone. "What are you trying to prove?" "Nothing. I'm keeping a record." "A record?" "Behavior, contradictions, changes." She stared. Something sharp flashed in her eyes, then went out. "You're becoming someone else," she said. Number. "I'm finally paying attention." He walked past her again. In the hall, he said, "The kids have questions." "What kind?" "Why you don't sleep at home. Why you lie. Why you smell like a stranger's cologne." She didn't answer. She turned away. He locked himself in the bedroom, backed up files, emailed them to a private account. Photos, statements, screenshots, in case the endgame went for scorched earth. He was not waiting for apologies or explanations, only for the click when things become irreversible. It was close. A week later, Alyssa switched tactics. Sunday morning, she cooked breakfast. Omelets, toast, fresh juice. The kitchen smelled like mint and butter. Michael stopped in the doorway. She sat with his favorite scuffed mug. "Sit," she said. "It's all ready." He sat. The kids were still asleep. The house felt falsely calm. "Want to drive out of the city?" she asked. "Why?" "Change of scene. All of us. We used to." Michael ate without speaking, and let the words play wrong in the air, like lines copied from old years. "Or do you think I'm lying again?" she said softly. "I don't think. I know." "How do you know?" "You're trying too hard. That's the first sign." She put the mug down, walked to the window with her back to him. "You're cold now," she said. "I stopped being convenient." "Not the same thing." She turned. Her face was calm, but her eyes were tight. "I don't know what you've decided," she began. "Don't," he cut in. "Just don't. We're both adults. We both know what this is." She went quiet. He finished, stood, cleared his dishes. "What'll you tell the kids?" she asked. "Nothing. Not yet." That afternoon, he met Victor, who handed over a flash drive. The investigators' cameras at Grant's building had captured 8 of Alyssa's visits over 3 weeks. Different days, different times, mostly mornings. Sometimes she carried a bag. Always without the kids. "Worth putting a camera inside?" Michael asked. "Only if you want direct confirmation." "I do." "Then we need a lawful route, or an agency with access. It's money. It's time." "Do it. Whatever it takes." Victor studied him. "You sure you want the end of this?" too late to want anything else. The next day, Alyssa left her tote open in the entry. Michael walked past, stopped. A white envelope peeked from an inner pocket. He slid it out. Jewelry boutique receipt. Pendant with an engraving. Purchased 3 days ago. Recipient? Blank. He put it back exactly as he'd found it and zippered the bag. That evening she said, "I wanted to give you something." "Don't." "Why?" "Because you didn't buy it for me." She froze, then snapped, "You're the one tearing us apart. I'm just done pretending." Michael stopped asking where she went. She stopped reporting. Their conversations shrank to logistics. Pick up, drop off, doctor tomorrow. Silence thickened, like pressure before a storm. One afternoon, he heard her on the phone through the thin wall between the kitchen and hall. "Not yet. It's too soon." He started to suspect. "I'm careful. If anything, I'll say you're just a friend." Her tone was low and held tight. She wasn't performing. She was building. He didn't walk in. He wrote it down instead. Call, 3:03 p.m., Friday. Internal line. Not work. Personal. The next morning, Max sent a new report. Eric had rented a private unit under a shell name, cash, keycard access with no registered residence. Cameras showed Alyssa spent nearly 4 hours there. Entered empty-handed. Left with the same tote that now sat in their entry. Michael downloaded the archive, backed it up to the cloud, folder names by date. He was not playing a final card yet. He was still collecting. But the inner structure had snapped into place, cold, hard, deliberate. Not out of revenge, out of necessity to protect the kids, himself, their name, whatever was left that hadn't rotted under the lie. You can lie for a long time. Silence is worse. He'd been silent long enough. He came home midday without warning. At work, he said he needed to stay in town to review contracts. No one asked questions. He was steady and private, and had earned that trust. He parked on the side street and walked. Snow crunched. He moved slow and clean, not from doubt, but to avoid mistakes. A strange car sat by the gate. Gray-green, tinted windows, faraway plates. He memorized the numbers. The front door was unlocked. He let himself in as always. No alarm, no footsteps. Just heavy warmth, like the breathing of a sleeping body. He took off his shoes and went in. The kitchen, silent. The living room, curtains drawn, television off, no toys, no voices. He climbed the stairs. The treads creaked softly. The last door stood ajar. He listened. Silence. Then a muffled man's voice. Then hers, the one that used to exist only at night when no one else was around. Low, easy, without tension. He pushed the door open. Alyssa lay on her back, hair tousled, one hand at a man's neck. He was half kneeling, braced against the mattress. His shirt was on the floor. Eric Grant. They froze. Alyssa lifted her head, eyes wide. No panic, just a fast count. What did he see? How long? What exit? Eric stood, yanked up his pants. I thought, "Don't think," Michael said. His voice was level. He stepped in and punched Eric in the groin. He had not planned it. It felt good. After that, it went foggy. He pulled the door shut gently until the latch clicked and walked downstairs. Outside, he smiled a little, got into his car, and texted Max a photo of the gray-green car. "Run the driver and the plate." Max replied, "On it." He went to an old rental he'd used years before, back when life was easier to move. Wood and stale tobacco in the air, clean, empty, safe. He opened his laptop. The folder Alyssa was already there. He created a new one, Confirmation, and dropped in everything from the past 2 weeks. Photos, screen grabs, building cam clips. Then he wrote Victor. Caught them. In our house. In the bedroom. Eric. Direct confirmation. Start Alyssa called 3 hours later. He did not pick up. Calls stacked. Then a text. You're misunderstanding. Can we talk? It was a mistake. Don't do anything stupid. He did not answer. Not because he had no words, because everything had been said. Later, Max messaged, the car was a rental under fake documents. The gate camera had timestamps synced to Michael's. Michael shut the phone off, set it down, closed his eyes. No anger, no hurt, just emptiness. As if everything had burned out long ago, and a bed of ash remained, enough to lay out a new order, cold, lawful, leaving no room for excuses. He came back in the morning like he was returning from a business trip. No suitcase, no noise. The kitchen was empty. In the bedroom, the bed was made, linens changed, the air smelled of lavender, different detergent. She had always used lemon. In the living room, a cup of coffee still held warmth. Footsteps upstairs. Alyssa walked in wearing pajamas, hair wet, stopped for half a beat when she saw him. You came back. Yes. And he left. You've got it wrong. It was surprise. She tugged at her robe collar, instinctively covering herself. He saw everything. How are the kids? He asked. At school. I took them. Thanks. She stood. I need to get dressed. Grocery run. We're out of everything. He waited till the bedroom door closed, then checked the tote she'd been carrying lately. Tissues, keys, a couple of receipts, perfume. At the bottom, a single condom, the rest used. Same brand as the box in the trash. He put it all back, in the same order. Steady hands. The next day, he let the housekeeper go. Not needed anymore, was all he offered. 6 years, and he still paid her severance on time. With thanks. He did not explain. Alyssa found out a few hours later. Why didn't you ask me first? It's my decision. She's done here. She bit her lip. Irritation under control. He saw it. She was losing levers. Her ground was shrinking, control thinning. He cut off her access to the joint card quietly, without alerts. Moved household expenses to his personal account. Opened a separate debit card for the kids with a fixed allowance. 3 days later, she came to him. My card isn't working. I know. What does that mean? That from now on we keep things separate. You're serious? Absolutely. She had an argument ready, but did not use it. That night, Victor's update landed. The hidden camera in Eric's apartment had footage now, but needed more time. A second update showed Eric traveling not just to that unit, but to a private clinic out of town, listed as a consultant. The clinic belonged to a company in his mother's name. Paper Shields. Old trick. Michael saved it all in a folder called Mechanism. He took a week off work. Spent mornings with the kids, afternoons with the laptop, evenings inside a hush. Alyssa did not fight, did not ask. She moved through rooms like a guest who had not packed yet. He did not block her. He waited for mistakes. On the 4th day, she left her phone on the couch and sat in the bedroom leafing through a magazine. The passcode hadn't changed. In the archive, 3 months of messages with Eric. Dates, places, short lines, occasional photos. A miss you, a he's here again. Once. Thought he'd leave on his own. Eric's reply. We'll help. He took screenshots and sent them to himself, wiped the traces, put the phone back. If she noticed, she pretended not to. Late Thursday, she stood in his office doorway, then stepped in. We need to talk. About what? Us. There is no us. She sat, hands folded on her knees, quiet. You want a divorce? She asked. Probably. She rose slowly, eyes down. Get some sleep, he said. Tomorrow will be hard. She left. The The door closed softly. No slam, no plea. He stayed with the screen, files, dates, numbers, and behind them a marriage already wrecked. No trembling, no doubt, only a straight line forward. Morning began with make-believe. Alyssa setting the table. Coffee, oatmeal, apples, warm bread. The kids ate silently. Sophia yawned. Anthony stabbed at the oatmeal and left it there. Michael poured tea. He was done waiting for explanations. "I'll pick you up after school," Alyssa told the kids. "Dad said he would," Sophia answered. "We agreed," Alyssa said, calm. "No," Michael said. "We didn't." Alyssa hesitated only a second and went back to her food. After breakfast, she stayed home. Michael read in his office. She pushed the door open without knocking. "I know the past few months haven't been right." "You mean your boyfriend?" "I made mistakes. I mixed things up." "Who you sleep with? Don't push." "I don't want to destroy this." He said nothing. She waited, not for forgiveness, but for confirmation that she still had control. "You want to keep the family?" he asked. "Yes." "After everything?" "I'm not making excuses," she said, taking a step toward him. "I'll fix it. I just need time." "You had 2 years. I didn't think you would." He walked closer. "Listen carefully. I don't believe words anymore. Only facts. Is that a threat?" Number A, notice. She stood rigid, pale, lips pressed. "You won't give me a chance? You already used it, more than once." He sat back down. "You can stay or go. The end is the same." That evening, Victor emailed, "We have material." The video from Eric's place confirmed the relationship. Timestamps matched Michael's notes, audio and visual entries and exits. Ready to submit. Michael logged into the secure drive and watched without sound, without reaction. The sofa, the shower, the window. Unhurried, too comfortable, as if everything were permitted. He closed the file. His mouth was dry, not with jealousy, with finality. This was proof. Period. The next morning, Alyssa tried again. "We could start over." "No." "I'll explain." Too late. She understood from his tone, his eyes, the absence of pause. And pauses always leave room. This time, there wasn't one. That night he assembled the packet. Prenup, property titles, the kids' medical records, correspondence, photos, ordered, numbered, in a folder labeled Division. He did not touch her things, read her emails, or hunt for one more confession. The actions already said everything. Too much, too late. At 3 a.m., she walked in without knocking, robe loose, hair down. "Do you hate me?" "No." "Then be a real man and forgive me. I'm done with him. I swear I don't care." "I can't live without you," she said, and tears slid down, silent, like a weapon. He did not move. "Go to bed, Alyssa. Tomorrow's long." She left and slammed the door, not softly, not staged. He drove to his mother's, the small house on the edge of town where he grew up. Nothing had changed. The same doormat, the same kettle, the same sun-faded curtains. It smelled like apples and paper. "You look bad," she said. "I don't sleep. Problems with Alyssa." "You could call it that." They sat in the living room. She brought tea. He watched the wet snow fall. "I stayed out of it," she said. "Didn't want to meddle, but I knew." "How long?" "A year. Maybe more." "Why didn't you tell me?" "You wouldn't have believed it until you saw it." He nodded. She always knew what to say. "I found something," she added after a minute. "Your father's papers. In the drawer with the old property files. Letters. From a couple years before he passed." She brought a worn folder marked Personal. Inside, his father's handwriting, dated notes. Eric showing up near Alyssa too often. Questionable transfers from her card. conversations where she steered around things. His father had suspected and known, and kept quiet, because his son was in love and blind, because he hoped it would burn out on its own. Michael read in silence, set the pages down, and rested his hands on his knees. "Explains everything?" he asked. "Number confirms everything." The explanations came earlier. "You just didn't listen." Later, she pulled out wedding photos. Alyssa in white. His father beside them, shaking her hand, gaze heavy. Michael had missed it then. Now it was plain. "He didn't want you to marry her," his mother said. "He wanted me not to lose myself." "And did you? I thought I was defending us." Really, I was surrendering ground. Driving home, phrases circled in his head. Letters, statements, images, the way conversations paused at the wrong places, the smell of someone else's clothes. Year by year, it all clicked into place. He got back close to midnight. The kids were asleep. Alyssa sat in the stillness, TV off, a closed book on the table, a glass of wine nearly full. "Where were you?" she asked. "With my mother." "Why?" Clarifying details. She pressed her lips, took a sip. "I feel like you're preparing something." "I'm not a chef. You're going to blow this up." He walked past her and turned on the office light. He laid the folder from his mother on the desk, added the screenshots, the audio, the emails, everything, the relationship, the spending, the messages, the access to the kids. One system, dated and signed by reality. He sat and stared a while, then shut his eyes. He no longer had doubts. He was just waiting. An hour later, she knocked. "Michael, I get it. Too late." "I don't want enemies." She stood there, then said quietly, "If you think this was about feelings, you're wrong. I know. It was about control. I wanted to be independent. You wanted power. That's not the same. For you, no. For me, it is." She left. She didn't come back that night. Michael stayed in the chair with a chain of facts that didn't need emotions or context. Only forward motion. No breaks, no pauses. He filed in family court on Monday morning. The clerk checked signatures and dates without questions. He held the black folder, copies, certifications, logs, reports, sorted by grounds, evidence, preliminary custody position. No relief, just clarity. Sun on the sidewalk, cold and brightless. He put on sunglasses and walked to his car. Alyssa found out an hour later. She called, voice even, but hard. "You filed?" "Yes, without warning." "Everything between us happened without warning." Pause. "Michael, this is unreasonable. Be a man. We can talk." Talking ended when you stopped telling the truth. That evening, she stood in his office again. "You really want court?" "Yes, and publicity if needed." "You're not thinking about the kids. Real men don't do this." "I am thinking about them. That's why I am doing it." She paced, phone clenched, face controlled. "We can settle without paperwork." "Too late. I won't give up the kids." "They're not yours anymore," he said quietly, without heat, with precision. "What did you just say?" "In substance, you forfeited the word mother when you started using them." She said nothing. She slammed the door and left, steps fast and angry. Then silence. The court called the next day to confirm filing and set a preliminary hearing for the following week. On the same day, Victor's financial analysis came in. Hidden accounts, transfers, purchases in Eric's name charged to a card only Alyssa controlled. Many matched her business trips. Memo lines empty or personal services. Michael forwarded it to his attorney. No commentary needed. The kids felt it all. Anthony went quieter. Sophia started asking, "Dad, did you and Mom have a fight?" No. Then why aren't you together? Because sometimes adults make bad choices. Did Mom make a bad one? We both did. One of us started lying first. Sophia nodded without talking. Friday, Alyssa tried another play. Took the kids out under the excuse of a doctor's visit. Michael got a school alert. Unexcused absence. He called. Where are the kids? With me. Where exactly? The park. You're violating the schedule. You don't get to. Until the order is signed, I get to. Bring them back within an hour, or I file an abduction report. She returned in 40 minutes. The kids were rattled and shut down. Anthony threw his father a cautious glance, the look of an animal that expects a blow. Alyssa walked past without a word. On the stairs, she tossed, You've lost your mind. Number, I've sobered up. That night, he and Victor finalized the hearing plan. Notices served. Alyssa confirmed her appearance. Her attorney was a sharp 40-something from a boutique family practice. She'll go hard on feelings, Victor said. I don't respond to feelings. She'll try to paint you as cruel. I'm done with their theater. They signed the last exhibits. Michael took his copies. No hesitation, no illusions. The finish was in sight, clinical, cold, with no path back. The courthouse was new glass and gray concrete. Michael arrived early in a black coat with the folder in hand. Everything in order. Inside, calm, not cold, control. Victor waited in the corridor with his paralegal and a color-coded set of copies. Michael checked them and nodded. No leaks, no sloppy language. Alyssa arrived 3 minutes before the start. Light gray suit, straight spine. With her, the attorney, confident stride, hard briefcase. Alyssa glanced at Michael once. He didn't return it. The judge, mid-40s, tidy, reserved, had them sit and state their names. Victor began, petition for divorce, grounds, adultery, sustained breach of trust, exhibits attached, custody, joint legal, primary physical to father, financials attached. Alyssa's attorney admitted relationship difficulties, but argued for a second chance, objected to airing private matters, and asked for mediation. The judge asked Michael to speak. He stood and kept it clean. Since the marriage began, my spouse has repeatedly misled me about the nature of her relationship with a third party. Documented recurring contact with the same man, including overnight visits to his residence during the past 2 years. Shared expenses for private trips, purchases, and apartment rentals charged to a joint card. Audio, video, and text communications inconsistent with marital fidelity. Attempts at constructive dialogue failed. I have chosen to end the marriage. The judge nodded. Alyssa leaned to her attorney and whispered. The attorney rose. We do not contest that meetings occurred, Your Honor, but we reject the interpretation as conclusive evidence of adultery in the absence of direct admissions. We ask the court to consider the parties' emotional states. Michael almost smiled. Court is for facts. The judge admitted the exhibits. Victor handed over the flash drive. Video, message excerpts, receipts, bank logs. Color drained from Alyssa's face. One file had a timestamp that matched her business trip. The lobby camera showed her leaving Eric's building. Another clip caught her voice. He won't find out. He's used to trusting. The main thing is that he doesn't see the messages. The room went quiet. Ms. Dawson, the judge said, do you confirm this is your voice? It's taken out of context. The context is complete. The metadata is intact. Anything to add? It was a mistake, an emotional breakdown. The judge turned to Michael. Your position on the children? They'll live with me, routines and schooling unchanged. I agree to maternal involvement as ordered by the court. Alyssa's head snapped up. You're taking away my rights? You gave them away. After the hearing, they walked into the corridor. Michael thanked Victor. Alyssa leaned against a wall, silent. Her attorney had vanished. Is that it? She asked. Number. This is the beginning. You want to take my kids? I want them protected from lies. I didn't think you had it in you, she said. You used to be. Let's not. You always thought I was weak. No, She looked him full in the face for the first time in a long time. I was wrong. He didn't answer. She stayed by the cold wall with her arms folded, not crying, not shouting, realizing that it was too late. 3 months later, the court ruled for Michael. Divorce granted. Primary custody to the father. The kids live with him. Alyssa got limited, supervised visitation. Her financial claims were denied. Assets split per the prenup. Michael let her keep the apartment they hadn't lived in since he filed. He didn't take everything, only her leverage. The house grew quiet, without the background hum of tension that had vibrated even between words. Sophia laughed again. Anthony asked, Do we live with you now? Yes. What about Mom? She lives somewhere else. Forever? I don't know. For now, it's right. They accepted it without drama. The storm had passed in their heads long before court. Michael understood. Children feel counterfeit early. He had only formalized it. Alyssa called daily at first, then every other day, then emailed. One note. I want to start over. Tell me how. Another. You were right. I panicked. I didn't know how to stop. After 43 days of silence, a last message. I'm sorry. Michael didn't answer. Not out of spite, out of sense. Some doors stop being doors when they slam. They become walls. Once she stood by the school gate in the shade. Michael saw her as he walked to the kids. She didn't approach, just watched. Sophia felt his hand tighten. Dad, Mom's there. I see. Are we going to her? Number, we're going home. Alyssa didn't follow. She stepped forward once and stopped, as if she finally understood that the next step would be into nothing. Michael changed the locks, upgraded the alarm, and put away old photos, not out of bitterness, out of order. No more unnamed things in the house, only what could be stated and proven. He stopped living in the past, stopped replaying the brief, unspoiled scenes. It had gone bad a long time ago. He just hadn't seen it. The kids settled into a new rhythm. School, dinner, evening walks. He didn't pretend it was perfect. He showed them it could be different, without deceit, and without things left unsaid. Will Mom come back? Sophia asked. Probably not. Why? Not everybody knows how to stay when it matters. Alyssa vanished from their circles, moved away. No one knew where. Old friends had heard nothing. Her sister didn't answer. Michael didn't look. People who want to disappear, disappear. People who try to come back usually disappear for good afterward. One evening he found a letter in the mailbox, her handwriting, short. You were right. I ruined everything. I thought I was in control, and I was losing it. Thank you for protecting the kids and yourself. This is the last letter. I won't interfere. Signed, Alyssa. No last name. No date. He stared out the window a while and put the letter in a box, without spite, without regret. Just a fact. The past can explain the present, but it doesn't get to excuse it. That night, Anthony fell asleep with a hand on his father's shoulder. Sophia read aloud. Michael listened, not to the story, to her tone. The worry was gone. The children were intact, which meant none of it had been in vain. Some decisions arrive not with noise, but with quiet. Only in that quiet do you finally see who you are and who is truly beside you. Everything else cuts itself away. For good.